Okay, here's a fun one. Problem 11 says Tuan wants to make the rectangular frame shown, and we're given a diagram of that here. It'll be 10 centimeters wide and 13 centimeters long. He wants his frame to have a uniform width x and a rectangular opening. We want to figure out for what value of x is the area of the opening inside the frame, 70 centimeters. Okay, so our frame's 13 by 10. We're not sure what this distance x is here, but we want to come up with the x such that the opening, okay, the area on the inside of the frame is going to be 70 centimeters squared for its area. Okay, now to solve this, we need to use area of a rectangle is equal to length times width. Now we know the area, which is 70, and that's going to be equal to the length times the width. Okay, so as far as length goes, we have 10 centimeters across, but we're going to subtract out x on both sides of that. So for a length, I could say that's 10 minus 2x. For the width, or the height, or whatever you want to call it, we have 13 centimeters, but again, we're going to subtract out an x on both sides. So that'll be a 13 minus 2x. Okay, and what we'll end up with here is a quadratic equation. We can solve that for x, and that's going to give us the width of the frame that fits this diagram and also gives us 70 centimeters on the inside. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. We'll leave the 70 by itself for now. We can distribute across these parentheses by foiling. 10 times 13 is going to give me 130. 10 times negative 2x for my outer will be negative 20x. Negative 2x times 13 for my inner will give me a negative 26x. Okay, and negative 2x times negative 2x will give me a plus 4x squared. Okay, so again, we're left with a quadratic equation to solve. I'm going to rearrange some things by combining like terms. I'm going to bring the 4x squared out front. That's kind of what we're used to. I'm going to combine the negative 20x and the negative 26x. That's going to be negative 46x. And then in the first step, I'm also going to subtract 70 from both sides of the equation to get everything set equal to 0. 130 minus 70 is going to be positive 60. Okay, so that looks a little bit nicer now. It's in our standard form, and we can go ahead and solve that quadratic. Okay, a couple ways to do that. We could use the quadratic formula. That should always work for us. I'm going to bet that this one's probably going to factor for us. The solution we're putting in here is going to be a nice number, a nice decimal. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to factor out a 2 from each of these terms because each of them has a 2 in common. So we can write this as 2 times 2x squared minus 23x plus 30. Then we can continue factoring from there. We'll have the 2 out front. Looks like we'll have a 2x and an x for the 2x squared. And now the factors of 30 that also give me the negative 23 when I multiply one of them by 2. Okay, we could guess and check at this for a while, but what I'm going to end up using is a negative 10 and a negative 3. Okay, because negative 3 times negative 10 is positive 30. And when I go 2 times negative 10, they'll give me a negative 20. Negative 3 times x will give me a negative 3. Negative 20x minus 3x will give me this negative 23x. Okay, so we have things factored. We can finish it then by finding the zeros. This first factor is going to give me a 0 of 3 halves. And the second factor will give me a 0 of 10. Okay, now as far as what the solution is, can't be the 10, because if my x was 10, we'd be missing 10 on both sides of a 10 centimeter long frame. Okay, that's just not going to work. Okay, so it's got to be the 3/2. That's the one that fits. So what I put in my answer box here is 1.5. Okay, don't worry about fractions, just decimals. And like we said, I had a feeling things would work out nicely just because we're using an answer box. We're not using a multiple choice answer.